Welcome back to the Only Fabs channel. Today we've cut the head off this bucket, which was on normal hitch pins, and we're converting it to s70 for a tilt rotate for the customer. It's a 5-foot digging bucket. So as you can see, we've got some brackets over there on that pallet, cut out, ready to go. So I'll put some 70mm bar in the saw and we'll get it tapped up, make sure it's right. Because S-series hitches or tilt rotates are renowned for being very just, they have to be perfect. There's a normal hitch is a bit more forgiving than a tilt rotate hitch, so they have to be just so perfectly square and right, because they aren't millimetre perfect, they generally don't fit. So we'll get to it. As you can see, I'm just trying the brackets on to make sure there's something like, because it has been known that when something goes away for CNC, it comes back and it isn't quite right. But anyway, in this case, we've allowed for a bit of 10mm across the front for a bit of extra strength, and a bit of 10mm across the back for a bit of extra strength. And it actually fits quite nicely, so we're good to go. Quick slurp of the coffee here, because coffee's life, keeps a job going. So we're just having a quick move around here. Move the bucket that we're working on, as well as the big bucket in the background, so that we can get our jig table out. Because we have a jig table set up for the S-series hitches, the S60 and the X70s, which are the most popular ones we do. So we have a jig set up just to make life easier, making sure they get welded together right, and we have no hiccups. So again, quick work out the length that the pins need to be, measure the jig plus the width of the plates, and then we always allow 15mm on the outside for welding. So we're just doing a bit of mental in the head, work out the cut length, and then we'll get 2 bits cut in the saw, ready to go. Phil's just joined us here to see what we're on with. Phil's our marketing man or website man. He puts everything on the website so that you guys can buy it. So he just gets a little video of us here for our TikTok. So if you want to give him a like and a follow on TikTok, it's ECFS Plant Sales. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And also, if you don't already, I'm Fitter Steve on TikTok. So if you want to see a more daily update, you can catch me there as well. As you can see here, we're just putting the bits in the jig, get them all clamped up and welded so that they can't move anywhere. And then we know that the job's right, hence the idea of the jig. So what we do is we do quite a few headstocks for various attachments, as well as buckets.
So we have this jig table set up, so if you need a headstock making for something for a tilt rotate, or even just a normal headstock, again, that's something we can do for you. Yeah, so obviously you can see here I'm just measuring further up the plates just to make sure that everything's right and they aren't twisted in any way, because it is quite critical that everything is just so when you're doing the S-series hitches. Then now it's time to get it out of the jig and get it onto the bucket. So we put a little strap around one pin and attach it to our little crane. These have absolutely transformed how we do things, and with them being quite as tight as they are in the jigs, what I do is you have a little toe jack. So I just put that in, jack the back pin out, because they obviously have to be lifted equally. But at the same time, once it's out of the jig, we need it to pivot round to go on the bucket, so it's easier to do it this way than the other way. Tony here just giving us a little bit of a hand, operating the crane for me as we go, and then yeah, just makes life easy. So again, now we've got the headstock set on the top of the bucket, we'll just tap it about a little bit to make sure it's perfectly in the centre, perfectly square. Usually just pays to measure a couple of times, make sure everything's just so. It looks worse than it is when I'm tapping it with that hammer, but it's actually not far out at all. So I just can't quite get it 100% square, so I'm putting a pull lift on this corner. I think it's actually only a couple of mil out, but like I say, with the S-series hitches, I like to try and get them as perfect as I possibly can. Just checking away there to make sure it's right, and yeah, get it tacked in place. So here we're just measuring for our big 10mm plate that's going in the front, just so that it can take a bit of extra stress, because the S-series hangers are further apart than they would have been on the original bucket. So it's just nice to have a bit of extra strength in there, basically. So now we've got a bit of 10mm here that we've put in, and the infamous toe jack. You'll often see me with the toe jack out for various bits of operation. basically I cut a bit of box section to go between the jack and the bit of plate and just jack it in because it is a snug fit. Unfortunately, as you can see here, I've cut my bit of box section a little bit too long, so I give it to Charlie and he chops it down a little bit for me, and then we can get back to it. There's just something very therapeutic about jacking a bit of metal in between two other bits when it's a snug fit. It goes in here absolutely swimmingly. You couldn't have made it a better fit if you tried, basically, and it just jacks in there lovely. Yeah, we don't always get this lucky, but we all need a bit of luck from time to time. And now, as you can see, we've got it on its side and we're on to welding it up. We tend to weld things this way because it's easier to get round everything. One last turn over to get the last bit welded. And thanks for watching, and hopefully give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.